person. And here's my entire screen. And why can't I share? For some reason, I can't share my screen. I don't know why. I got it. I got it. Okay. All right. So here we go. Can you guys see this syllabus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. This is the syllabus. It's available to you on Blackboard. You should read it. I'm just going to go over the important things. The important things is that we meet Monday and Wednesday between 11 and 12:20. There's my email address. I even have my cell phone number somewhere up here. Well, I should have anyway, but I'll put my cell phone number just in case you guys need it. But what's important? Here we go. This is important. You're on Google Meet, and you obviously know how to get in because you're here. And all my classes will start 6 minutes after 11, and I will audio and videotape on an MP4 module and place them on YouTube around 4 to 5 hours after my lecture, so you can see them. Course content is going to be, as you can see here, 1 through 9. 85% of your grade is directly from exams. And all of the chapter lectures will be posted on Blackboard as well as YouTube. Okay? You'll have a multiple choice questions on your exam. 50 questions, and there'll be 4 exams. You can decide whether or not you want to take the final. The final is cumulative. The entire semester is on the final. If you take the final, I will drop your lowest previous grade. If you can't make an exam on the day that it's scheduled, just let me know and we will make accommodations for you. That's not a problem. I'm very easy with that, okay? That's not a problem. All exams will have 2 extra credit questions, and those extra credit questions will be worth 2 points each. So you can get 104 on your exam. And no matter what Blackboard says, everything is out of 100. So if you get 104 on your exam, your score is 104. All right? 15% of your grade is going to be from homework, and that homework is Pearson mastering, and we'll go over that in the Blackboard course. Okay? We'll go over it. And if there's any problems, I put this in red. Please contact Pearson to support you if you have problems with your assignments. There's a grading scale. Here's the schedule. Unit 1, those topics, and your homework is availability, and your test, your first exam is on the 15th of February, the day after Valentine's Day. Unit 2, you see what's in Unit 2, and your test date is the 8th of March. Unit 3 is the nervous system and the brain, and your test date is the 29th of March. And Unit 4 is muscles and special senses, and your test date is the 19th. Okay? And obviously there's basic policies that you have to look at also. Okay? So let's go back and see if we can get into this. You guys see this? No. You didn't see that, did you?
I saw it.
Okay. You saw the announcement? You guys can see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay. This is your student view. This is what you see. Okay? This is what you see. Here's the announcements. Here's the instructor information. I put up that what I did in my life. For those who haven't seen this yet, I'm a physician. I'm a retired emergency medicine physician. I've been teaching at Rowan and RCBC basically for the last 9 years. I graduated Clemson University. I went to school, medical school in South Carolina. I did my residency in Philadelphia. I joined the military. I spent 27 years on active duty. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm. I spent 40 years in both civilian and military emergency departments. And I retired from active ER in 2016, but I still teach. I teach here. I teach in Philadelphia. I also teach for the military. I'm an expert in disaster medicine and the treatment of chemical, biological exposed patients. And I've traveled all over the world, literally all over the world. And I'm a ringside doctor. I do all the fights in Atlantic City. Of course, there hasn't been any since March the 13th of last year. But when we start again, I will be there. And I was inducted into the Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2014. I also play a lot of poker. I haven't played poker since March the 13th. But I travel to Vegas and New Orleans, and I'm a semi-professional poker player. So that's me, okay? If you look over here, you also see the chapter lectures. This is Unit 1. This is what your first exam will be on, and there they are. You can click on them, and your lectures are all there, okay? But remember, when I go over the lectures, that will be on YouTube. So these lectures are just from the book. They're just sitting here, okay? All right? Here's the syllabus that we looked at. You can click on that and then click on the syllabus. And then here's the course content, which is no content yet. And if you scroll down, we'll scroll down to mastering. This is where you find your homework. Here's mastering. You go into mastering AP home. That's what you go into. And for those that wanted the text, here's the text right here. Here's the book. Here's the book. Okay? But here's your assignments. It's always going to be in home. Click on home, scroll down to the bottom, hit launch. And here's your assignments. Here's your assignments for the first unit, chapter 1 through 4. Notice there is no chapter 2. We're not going to talk about chemistry, okay? But here it is. That's all you have to do. And you can see the due dates. Those dates are the due dates, okay? Any questions about that at all? You're still there, right?
Yes, I have
Good. Go ahead.
So I was going to attempt to start doing it, but there's no like grading policy on there as far as the homeworks. Is it like your first try? Is there a percentage, or is it just based on completion? I guess is my question.
It's based on completion.
Okay.
And remember, it's only 15% of your grade. Okay.
But it's just really to help us to understand the content.
Exactly. It's just to help you. It's just to help you. The important thing to me is that you do it.
Right.
I don't care what kind of grade you get. That's not important. What's important is that you do it. At the end of the year, when I look at your grades, if you haven't done your homework, I can't add any points to your final grade. If you do your homework, I can add final points to your final grade. Does everybody understand that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to make sure. Okay. Any questions about that at all?
I have another question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The test dates, are those going to
Yes.
replace our virtual meeting time or?
Yes.
Okay.
When you have a test date, here, I'm glad you asked that question. When you have a test date, there will be no class that day, no virtual class that day. You will have probably from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night to complete your exam. Now, mind you, the exam is timed. So if you don't have an accommodation, the usual timing of the exam is 55 minutes. So once you start, you must finish. You can't walk away from it. Okay? But you've got 12 hours to do it. But once you start, you've got to finish it in 55 minutes. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Good. Any other questions before we start a lecture?
I have a question.
Go.
For the test, do we have to like send you like any written work that we put down on paper, or does it all go on the computer, or like
It's all
written work?
online.
Okay,
It's all online.
I just wanted to make sure of that.
It's all online. You finish it online, and you'll know basically what your grade is almost when you finish it. Okay. Remember, there's 2 extra credit, so you won't know your full grade. I'll have to, because your extra credit questions are not multiple choice. Your extra credit questions are give me an answer. Okay. So I've got to grade those separately, but you'll roughly know what your grade is when you finish your exam. Okay. Any other questions before we start a lecture? Okay. Why don't we start a lecture? Everybody see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. There's got to be, listen, there's got to be feedback here. I can't see you people while I'm lecturing. So please stop me. I can't see you. So stop me and let me know if you have a question. I have no problem with that. I would rather you wait till the end of the lecture, but it doesn't matter. If you have a question and you're lost, stop me. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to cram things down your throat. Okay? That's very important to me that you understand what's going on. All right? It's very important. Okay. So here's your first lecture, The Human Body, an Orientation. We're going to talk about anatomical terminology. We're going to talk about how the body communicates, not only with itself, but with the outside world. Definitions: anatomy, the study of the structure of body parts and their relation to one another. Physiology, the study of the function of those body parts and how they work to carry out life and life-sustaining activities. There are many subdivisions of anatomy. Gross anatomy, otherwise known as macro macroscopic. Macro means big. Okay, macro means big and scopic means scope. So we're talking about large visible structures. There's also regional anatomy. Regional anatomy looks at all the structures in a particular area of the body, like the head. The head is a region. Okay? You have your eyes, your ears, your nose. Systemic anatomy looks at one system, and this is what we're really going to talk about. We're going to talk about the systems in the body. Okay, after we get through the basic stuff, we're going to talk about the systems. And in AP1 or Bio 110, you have the skin, which is a big system. You have bone, you have muscles, and you have the nervous system. Those are the systems that we're going to study in Bio 110. Okay? And then there's surface anatomy, which looks at structures that relate to the skin. Also, you have microscopic anatomy. Obviously, we're going to start with microscopic anatomy because you have to know a little bit about the cell. And that is known as cytology. Cytology is a study of cells. And obviously, it's microscopic. Histology is the microscopic study of tissues. Developmental anatomy, we really don't talk about that much because there's a whole course in it. And developmental anatomy is known as embryology, the study of the developments before birth. Okay? But you got to know anatomy. And not only anatomy, you have to know physiology. So physiology is how do these systems work? Not only working by themselves, but also together. How does the heart and the kidneys and the brain work together? It focuses on cellular and molecular levels of the body. To study physiology, you have to understand some basic principles: electrical currents, pressure, and movement, as well as some basic chemical principles. They work together. Anatomy and physiology are complementary. They work together. And that's the principle of complementarity of structure and function. And I want to tell you now that when you see things in bold, black, or green, or blue letters, I'm going to focus on that for your exam. Okay? Here is sort of a horrible example, actually. Your incisors are sharp so they can cut like scissors, and your molars are sort of grinding or dull so they can grind food. That's a horrible example. We have better examples than that. So what's the structure of the human body? Well, you start off at the chemical level. Atoms, molecules, and organelles. The word organelles is just small organs inside the cell. At the cellular level, you have cells. At the tissue level, you have groups of similar cells. These groups of similar cells mass together to form tissues, which mass together to form organs. And then you have organ systems that work together, like the GI system. The gastrointestinal system not only has a stomach, a small intestine, a large intestine, but it also has a pancreas, a liver, a gallbladder, and other organs that make up the GI system. And this is just what we just said. It's just a a rehashing of what I said. You start off with your chemical level, you go to your cellular level, you go to your tissue level, and then tissues come together and form organs, and then you go into your systems, organ systems, and then you go into the human being. Okay? That's a horrible word. Organismal. I've never heard of that word in my life. That's an awful word. I don't ever use that word. All right. So what are the requirements of life? Here you have it. Big, black, bold letters. Maintaining boundaries, movement, responsiveness, digestion, metabolism, excretion, reproduction, and growth. We'll talk about them individually. Maintaining boundaries. Well, there are separation between internal and external environments. There's even a separation inside your body to separate cells from each other. There's a membrane called the plasma membrane that separates each cell from each other. And when you talk about the body as a whole, the skin separates your body from the environment. Movement. Movement is basically the muscular system. The skeletal muscles of your body control movement. Also, there's movement of blood in your body, and that movement of blood is due to your heart, otherwise known as cardiac muscle. There's also a movement of food, and that movement of food is in your digestive tract. And the movement of waste, one of the systems that moves waste is your kidneys or your urination. Contractility refers to movement at a cellular level. Responsiveness, the ability to sense and respond to stimuli. If you touch a stove that's hot, you are going to withdraw your hand immediately. You don't even have to think about it. That's called the withdrawal reflex. You're born with it. It's a primitive reflex that prevents injury. If you put your finger on a sharp needle, you'll move it away because of the withdrawal reflex. That is very, very important. Okay? Digestion, the breakdown of food, followed by the absorption of that nutrients into your blood. That is digestion. Metabolism. All the chemical reactions in your body is known as metabolism. It is the sum of catabolism, the breakdown of molecules, and anabolism, the synthesis or the making or the building of molecules. And then you have excretion, the removal of waste from metabolism and digestion. There are 4 systems in your body that get rid of waste. Your lungs, your respiratory system. The respiratory system gets rid of carbon dioxide. It is a waste. Your urinary system gets rid of urine, basically in the form of water and the breakdown of proteins. Your digestive system gets rid of unabsorbed foods known as feces. And your skin gets rid of waste in the form of sweat. So you have 4 systems that get rid of waste. The respiratory system, the urinary system, the digestive system, and the integumentary system, which is your skin. Those are the systems that get rid of waste. Reproduction. Reproduction involves the division of cells for growth or repair. You lose cells every day from your skin. Okay? Every day you lose cells, thousands of them, thousands, actually millions of them. And these cells are reproduced. Those are known as somatic cells. But your sexual cells, sperm and egg, are involved in the reproduction of offspring. And we'll talk about the reproductive system in Bio 114, not in Bio 110. And obviously there's growth. You know, how do you get from that little baby to where you are today? Your body has to grow. Necessary life functions. We have many cells in our body. We are multicellular. So to function, organ systems must work together for your survival. There are 11 organ systems that you will learn in Bio 110 and 114. And they all work together. I'm not going to bore you with how they work together. They all work together, okay? The integumentary system, the skin. We're going to talk about the skin in great detail. So I'm not going to bore you with it, okay? But know that it forms your protection from the body. You're protected by your skin. It also senses the environment. The skeletal system, we're going to talk in great detail about the skeletal system. It provides support and the framework of your body. It also stores minerals. You will learn in this class that the most abundant mineral in your body is calcium, because you're basically made of bone. Majority of your weight is due to bone. Okay, so calcium is the number one mineral in your body. And not only is it in bone, it's in other systems too. Skeletal muscle. You have over 600 muscles in your body. The muscular system, okay? It allows you to move, not only walk and talk, but to pick up things, to give a facial expression, all right? The nervous system, we're going to talk about the nervous system in great detail. It not only involves your brain, but it also involves your spinal cord and all the peripheral nerves of your body. The endocrine system. The endocrine system starts in Bio 114. We're going to touch a little bit about it, but not too much. It secretes hormones. That's what's important. It secretes hormones. The cardiovascular system obviously involves your heart, your blood pressure, and all the arteries and veins in your body. The lymphatic system, or your immune system, very important system. Now that we're getting COVID vaccines, it's important to understand. And that you talk about that in Bio 114. The respiratory system, breathing in and out, your lungs, your trachea. The digestive system, all the way from your oral cavity to your anus. The urinary system, a system that gets rid of waste. The majority of waste that you get rid of is from your kidneys and your bladder. The reproductive system, both male and female. That's all discovered in Bio 114. So what do you need to survive? Well, you need nutrients. You need oxygen. You need water. You need a normal body temperature. And you need to be in the appropriate atmospheric pressure. nutrients, chemicals that are used for energy and cell building. And they are carbohydrates, which is the major source of energy, proteins, which are needed for cell building and cell chemistry, fats, long-term energy storage, and minerals and vitamins, which are involved in chemical reactions. Oxygen, obviously, essential, very essential. You can only live about 2 to 3 minutes without oxygen. Water. The most abundant chemical in the body is water. Do not confuse that with the most abundant mineral. The most abundant mineral is calcium. The most abundant chemical is water. I'm going to ask you that question, one or both, on exam number 1. It provides a watery environment needed for chemical reactions. You also must maintain a normal body temperature. You know it as 98.6. You can also know it as 37 degrees Celsius. And you must have a specific atmospheric pressure in which to get air inside your lungs and air outside your lungs. You cannot breathe underwater. You cannot breathe at certain heights. If you go onto a mountain, you must bring supplemental oxygen. So atmospheric pressure is gas exchange. That's what we're talking about. The word homeostasis is in big, bold blue letters. Homeostasis is the maintenance of relatively stable internal conditions despite continuous changes in the environment. It is a state of equilibrium. It is maintained by all organ systems. Very, very important to understand. Homeostatic control is basically monitored by the 2 most important systems. And the 2 most important systems to monitor homeostasis in your body is the nervous system and the endocrine system. They both play a major role in maintaining homeostasis. If your blood sugar drops, the endocrine system will produce hormones to raise your blood sugar. If your blood sugar rises, the endocrine system will produce hormones to drop your blood sugar. If your body temperature rises, the endocrine and the nervous system will try to lower it. If you're losing blood or you're losing water, say you have severe diarrhea, your blood pressure needs to be maintained, and the endocrine and the nervous system will maintain your blood pressure to a degree. Okay? So homeostatic control involves 3 important components: a receptor, a control center, and an effector. A receptor. The receptor is known as a sensor. It monitors the environment. It responds to stimuli: hot, cold, pain, itch, temperature changes, pain changes, thing that causes changes in controlled variables. When you walk outside and it's 21 degrees, what do? Well, you're not an idiot. You go in the house and you put on a jacket. But that's still a stimulus. That's still a stimulus. So that's important. That's important. It is sensory. A control center. The sensations are set to a control center. It receives all the input from the receptor, and it determines the appropriate response. The effector. The effector is the output of the control center. You go outside, it's 21 degrees. The stimulus or the receptor is cold. That cold sensor goes to your brain, and your brain says, get your ass inside and put on a jacket. Putting on the jacket is the effector. It provides the response. The majority of responses in your body for homeostasis are negative feedback responses. I would say 90% of all homeostatic control is due to negative feedback. What does that mean? That means that when your blood sugar drops, it has to be raised. That's negative feedback. Okay? 10% is positive feedback, and we'll talk a little bit about both. Negative feedback is 90% of all feedback. 90%. And there are two examples. Here they are. Body temperature. Body temperature is regulated by the nervous system. If you have a fever of 101, the nervous system will put in motion ways to lower your body temperature. If your blood sugar drops or if your blood sugar rises, there is hormone control by the endocrine system to either lower or raise your blood sugar. So that's negative feedback. That's negative feedback. Okay, there it is, blood sugar. Receptors sense increased blood sugar. The pancreas, which is the control center, secretes the hormone insulin into the blood. Insulin causes the body cells, effectors, to absorb more glucose, which will decrease your blood glucose levels. That is an example of negative feedback. And here it is. If you look at it, what you want is balance. What you want is balance. If there is imbalance, the stimulus will affect the receptor, which will detect the change. That input goes to the control center, and the control center will affect the effector, and there will be a response, and you will get balance. That's a great seesaw analogy. Okay, and here it is. You can look through this yourself. Stimulus, receptor, control center, effector, and then response. I want you to learn two new words here. Afferent. Afferent means sensory fibers. These sensory fibers will always go to the control center. Okay? Imagine this as the brain, because that's the big control center. Imagine the receptor is your skin. If there's a problem with your skin, whether it be pain, heat, itch, it will send a sensory afferent signal to the brain. The brain then sends out a motor response. Efferent is a motor response to the effector. That motor response in response to cold is to put on a jacket. That's the response. So afferent is sensory and goes towards the control center, and efferent is motor and it goes away from the control center. I want you to know that because I'm going to ask you that question on exam number 1. Okay? And I think we've actually gone over this. This is cold weather. It's the same thing we talked about. 10% of homeostatic control is positive feedback. The response enhances or exaggerates the original stimulus. It usually controls events that are not common. The word infrequent is not correct. It's really not common. So it doesn't require continuous adjustment. Okay? If you are pregnant and in labor and you're going to deliver your child, the contractions of your uterus will stimulate the pituitary gland to produce a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin will enhance labor contractions. That's positive feedback. That's positive feedback. If you cut yourself and you're bleeding, platelets will come to that site to clot your blood. That's positive feedback. Okay? The word infrequent should be not common, because you don't usually go into labor or cut yourself, I hope, anyway. But here it is. Here it is. If you look at, there's a break in your blood vessel. You're bleeding. A positive feedback cycle is initiated. It's initiated, and now platelets come to your site of bleeding, and you get a platelet plug. And that platelet plug, hopefully, will make you release more chemicals to attract more platelets, and your clot will, and your bleeding will stop because there's a clot. That's called positive feedback. Okay? And there it is. Any disturbance in homeostasis will give you a problem, and that problem is usually disease. And with aging, you kind of lose that control. An old man like me has more risk of disease than young people like you. So that's important. That's important. I don't have the immune system like all of you people have, okay? So I'm more susceptible to cancer and other things. And I'll talk about one of those other things when we stop this lecture. Some of you may have noticed already. Oh, I can stop my lecture, good. Okay, I'm going to stop this lecture. Let me see, hang on 1 second. Let's stop recording.